In the last episode, we looked at the progression ranking of the AXI, the Vanguard scoring system, and the history of the AXI ACE Leaderboard. When we left things off, we saw that Maligno held number 1 position on the board with 145 points for his Clipper Hydra Octagoid. Bad Racing Driver had retaken second with 125 points after a Hydra Hexagoid in his Orca, and I was at third place with 105 points for my Hydra Octagoid in a Chieftain. But what does it take to reach the top of the ACE Leaderboard? Commander Maligno's score would be incredibly difficult to surpass. The only realistic prospect may be to achieve the same score but in a faster time. An ACE score is calculated by taking the points earned from Thargoid kills in a single engagement, minus the point cost of the ship used. The maximum possible score before deductions is 185 points for the Hydra Octagoid, a Hydra, 3 Basilisks and 4 Cyclops. And in order to create this instance, a significant number of meta-alloys must be carried to the Hyperdiction to feed to the Thargoids. This limits the potential ships to those with a score of 40 points or less, and those that can carry at least 64 tons of cargo while maintaining a reasonable degree of armour. The lower the point cost of a ship, the less suitable it is for AX combat, meaning to achieve the highest score, you must take on the most difficult fights in the worst possible ship. These are the ships with a point value of 40 or less. The top 5 here do not have enough damage output to overcome the regeneration of the Hydra's hull. The Adder, Imperial Eagle, Vipers, Cobras and Keelback have too few utility slots to accommodate heat sinks, given that a shutdown field neutralizer will be needed on one of the utility slots. The Asp Scout, Diamondback Explorer, Type 7 and Type 9 are all too slow. We are going to be facing 3 Basilisks here after all. And the Diamondback Scout and Imperial Courier cannot carry enough meta-alloys to summon the Cyclops to the fight. This leaves the Asp Explorer and the Imperial Clipper. The Imperial Clipper has been the go-to for this kind of scoring by AXI commanders for some time. It is very fast with great armour potential and cargo space. If the Class 7 slot is used for cargo, it can carry both 64 limpets and 64 meta-alloys. But when I reviewed it some months back, I just could not get comfortable with the terrible weapon convergence. With the Clipper, only 1 Gauss can be used on exerted hearts. This massively increases the chances of needing to re-exert, costing ammo and time. So the only option was the Asp Explorer. The Asp is a bad ship in most areas relevant to AX combat. It has poor manoeuvrability, is slow to turn, does not orbit well, it is a large target and it isn't very durable. It can mount 4 Gauss cannons, though only one of them can be a medium, and it can also fit the flak and thermal vent common in AX combat. But it has great weapon convergence and a good boost speed, with the ability to carry 64 tons of cargo. There was just one problem though. Nobody had ever killed a Hydra in an Asp Explorer. When I reviewed it myself, I failed at that kill. But having recently gotten the world's first Hydra kill in an Imperial Courier, I was not going to give up just yet. And some of the tricks I learned in that fight seemed like they would help me when I revisited the Hydra in the Asp. And so here I was back aboard my Asp Explorer, the Bragg Humble, heading out to make some minor changes to the engineering. I'd previously used an overcharged power plant from another ship, but given what I was about to go up against, it would have to be substituted for an armoured plant. Then I was off to find out if the Asp Explorer could defeat a Hydra after all. With the number of points I needed, the Hydra Octagoid was the only path, so if the ship could not overcome one, it would be a moot point anyway.
Kate had learned from her experience with the Courier Hydra kill that premium heatsinks can shorten the temperature spike time when using too many Gauss cannons, just enough to limit incoming fire to a single volley per shot. She would still need to double bank the heatsinks to fire all 4 Gauss cannons at once, and because of this, the first heart would still be incredibly close, but it just might work.
first heart had fallen, but I still had work to do. You take a lot of damage during attacking runs using this strategy, and so you have to make full use of the 5-minute Hydra shield timer to carry out repairs and restock modules. All of this while taking down a Hydra swarm. The Asp has an enormous weakness in lightning attacks, with thrusters immediately shutting off for several seconds. I would have to make it a top priority to avoid all lightning attacks. After the first few hearts, I was in my rhythm. I could feel victory over the Hydra coming. So, the Asp had proven itself capable of destroying a Hydra after all, and this was the first sign that the Asp octagoid might be possible. It would also need to handle a large and very deadly multi-goid situation too, with multiple basilisks. I decided to face off against a Medusa, double basilisk, triple cyclops to see how badly the Asp's lack of manoeuvring would hinder it. It was quickly apparent that facing this many goids head-on would potentially overwhelm the ship's armour, not to mention that the Asp cannot outmaneuver the swarm at all. The Asp's lack of manoeuvring meant that when the basilisk slows down and begins evasive manoeuvring, the need to re-exert becomes a real possibility. I would need to use the basilisk's speed against them and separate them from the rest of the group to engage them alone as much as possible. Given the Asp's lightning weakness, there would be no picking off hearts all over the place. It would be a case of engaging one goid at a time. taking out the basilisks, the rest of the combination was a lot easier. I felt I gained enough insight into the Asp's multi-goid capabilities to start hunting the octagoid. On one such high prediction, I was all set to go, but forgot to engage silent running. This resulted in goids becoming aggressive before the summon. Still, it was another opportunity to practice separating the basilisks from a slower goid, and so I proceeded. It would also give me the chance to take on an enraged hydra from the outset, and this was significantly tougher than the solo one. I was suffering much greater damage on the attacking runs, and at one point reaching as low as 17%, but I was still in the fight. Several hearts needed to be re-exerted, and nearing the end of the fight I lost my canopy. But with a concerted effort I was able to overcome this hydra. And this served to confirm to me that the first was not a one-off fluke. This had been the worst case scenario in terms of toughness, but I had overcome it. During my month-long search for the right instance, I did have several other attempts at large multi-goids, specifically the Hydra double Medusa. This fight is incredibly tough for the Asp. The lack of manoeuvring capability and durability makes sustained attack runs needed for the Medusa a real gamble. The inability to avoid 3 of the largest swarms known to exist make missile warnings common. It is possible to complete this kill. I made it halfway through the second Medusa, but there is zero room for error, and you are likely to make that one mistake at some point. But then, after nearly a month of searching for the right combination, and a few failed attempts to summon, I would find what I was looking for. I deployed my meta-alloys and waited, keeping an eye on the top right info panel to count the number of frameshift anomalies.
Temperature critical. Frameshift anomaly detected.
4 anomalies flashed and I knew this could be the one, but they were too far apart to cover with the shutdown field neutralizer. I would have to risk a shutdown. My power had returned. It was time to get this battle underway. This is my second Hydra Octagoid after the Chieftain run, and these fights are broken up into 3 distinct phases. The Basilisks are the first phase, because they can be separated away and led into your orbit, allowing you to get a head start on the hearts before the pack and swarms catch up. If the rest of the Thargoids catch up though, the Basilisks become evasive and are much harder to hit in the Asp. Constant repositioning is needed, both to avoid the Basilisks and to bait the swarm into suicide missiles. The Asps will suffer agitated swarms often. But when you can keep the Basilisks separated from the pack, hearts can be eliminated smoothly. As the Basilisk's numbers thin out, incoming fire becomes less punishing. A swarm is lost for every goid killed too, so the missile threat becomes greatly reduced. After the Basilisks are eliminated, the Cyclops phase begins. This is much easier than the Basilisk phase, but does mean staying in close proximity to the swarms. It's all about working the edges of the pack. Cyclops hearts break quickly though, so attacking runs become far less dangerous. I was 7 Thargoids through on my way to Ace number 1. Just the hydra remained. Before engaging, I made sure to repair and restock everything. The first heart is always going to be close in the Asp. The first heart had fallen, and under the circumstances the ship wasn't in too bad a shape. The second heart needed re-exertion. This would mean engaging under another swarm. After the second heart, I was again finding my rhythm. I had plenty of time to get this done and was not going to make a careless mistake at this point. At the midpoint of the fight, the canopy came perilously close to breaking, but luck was smiling on me this night, and it remained intact. Nothing was going to stop me now. After failing to destroy a hydra in my review, keeping at it to finally kill one, facing off against many multi-goid tests, a month of extensive jumping and several failed attempts, the brag humble, an Asp Explorer named after a Hello Internet joke, had defeated the Hydra Octagoid in 3 hours, 16 minutes and 10 seconds. This was now the first position kill on the AXI ACE Leaderboard, and had demonstrated the Asp Explorer to be a capable AX vessel. This video and the previous one took considerably longer to make than anything before on this channel, and as a result delayed our weekly Thargoid War series for about a month. I would like to thank all of my fellow ACE commanders for allowing me to show highlights of their amazing victories in the previous part. I'd like to thank you, the viewer, for watching and for sticking with us while we were working on this. Fly safe, commanders.